to all the very much cherished listeners of Radio Gold.
I hope you're well.
By His grace, we are doing well. By His grace, we are doing well.
You live in the UK. In the UK, when you are going to have elections, do parties say that the register is not credible?
Very far from that, because in the UK, in general, people get themselves into the electoral register not through the process that we adopt in Ghana. You register with your local authority, and then you have the option to put your details on there. In fact, we members of the Commonwealth countries, countries that were formerly colonized by Britain, even though we are not British, we are allowed to vote, and so you do not have the kind of concerns that we have. But I guess, the model is different. However, this is the first time in the history of our country that you have an electoral commission mishandling and messing up a register so much so that majority of Ghanaians have got concerns about the credibility of the register. The first time where we have a situation where people have been transferred from the northern region all the way down to an extreme, one of the most northeastern towns, Pusiga, in the Upper East, without their knowledge. Imagine you live in Tamale. Tamale to Bolga alone is about 2 hours. Another by driving. Then from Bolga all the way to Pusiga, you are looking at another almost 3 hours. So you wake up first thing in the morning and go to a polling station to vote, and you can't find your name. And by the time analysis are done, your vote has been moved 5 hours away. We know this is part of the tactics that the MPP, in collusion with the EC, is using to try and disenfranchise people in the NDC strongholds. So it is not news to us. We know. And the EC is complicit in it. The EC is complicit in it.
The EC is complicit. Why? Why would they?
Oh, it's a fact. First and foremost, from a factual perspective, maybe ignore my political affiliations for a second. To transfer a vote, I came home to register. Now, if I want to transfer my vote, there's a process. I have to fill a form, and I have to make sure I specify it. And the officer at the EC, the so-called district director or the equivalent, will be the one to sign it off. And that is why at least the EC, for the first time, in trying to show that they are doing something, has sacked the relevant officer, the district officer who was responsible for that. How is it that that person was transferred without their knowledge? And the same district officer says, I do not know what happened. So we need to understand who did that transfer. These are all done on the system. Somebody needed a particular code to effect the transfer. Who input that? We expect a comprehensive forensic audit. My brother, that forensic audit is not rocket science. It is simple. We go into the logs. The log will tell you the day Mr. Asumisi was moved from polling station A in Tamale to polling station B in Pusiga, which user account was used, because every single employee has a user account on the system. So we're able to tell the user account that was used to make that transfer and who did the approval. Those two people, the people who executed the transaction, should then be arrested, because this is complete electoral fraud. We shouldn't be joking with this. Now, if you've just found this is just a microcosm, I can bet you there are probably thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, who have been afflicted by this same thing. Voting day, you turn up at your police station and your name is not there. And they'll tell you your name is on the register, but it's at a different region. So you, from northern region, you cross northeast region, and then go to upper east region, and go to the northeastern corner of the upper east region. So the EC is complicit in it. The officers of the EC know it is not NDC who they are transferring. It is the officers of the EC. And you all know, people like that EC comes, that MPP comes officer, and many other MPP executives that have been absorbed into the EC. This is what we have been warning about. So when we say the EC is compromised, this is what we mean.
You are an auditor yourself. Why can't this audit be done by the EC itself?
Because you need an independent person. The EC is not independent. In fact, the EC is the one standing accused. So how can you ask somebody to investigate themselves? What do we expect? And we'll get a clearing agent again, like one another has been doing to his appointees. So that is why the EC is not in the right person. We need an independent auditor. And this exercise can be done in seconds, not even minutes. All we need is the logs. Simple download of the logs. You take a look at it. If the EC still insists they want to do it, then there must be a representative of each of the parties within the room where the logs are harvested. And we're able to tell what transfers have happened, who executed the transfers, and where is the authority of the transfer. In other words, where is the application for transfer from the person? Because you fill a form. And if you can't find an application form for the transfer, then you know that the persons who executed the transfer did this unlawfully and should go straight to jail. No bail. They should go to jail pending court proceedings.
The key question that was asked this morning by a representative of the Movement for Change is whether forensic audit alone resolve the problem that has been identified.
An audit is a start, because an audit will uncover the rot that is going on in the EC. And this explains why the EC delayed in releasing their register, because they were playing cha-cha with our register. However, after the audit, what is important is that the audit findings have to be what? Followed through. And we have to now take steps to make sure that this register is locked, because there is every risk that they will give you one register, and the day of the election, the register that comes up is a completely different copy. So even after they've given us a register exhibited, we say we have cleaned, we are happy with it. These people, don't put it past them. They have done worse. Go and hide the rooms and announce national elections. What else would they not do? Jimensa and his cronies. They would simply go back and repeat this. So what we need is, once the register is cleaned up, it has to be under lock, digital lock, with all the parties being able to verify, see, so that nobody can make any changes to it. And then a full version control protocol will be in place, so that if even one capital letter is changed to a small letter, it will provide a clear law that somebody has tampered with it.
Listening to you, it's like as if you do not trust the Electoral Commission at all.
Oh, that is true. The truth of many Ghanaians don't trust the Electoral Commissioner. We've seen it. This is the Electoral Commissioner that refused, even after the EC paid for them to come and conduct our elections, they refused to. For the first time in the history of our country, and he said, right, that we had to do our own elections ourselves. This is the same Electoral Commission that has been doing resetting for the MPP in Warwale, Baumia's own constituency, where they can't seem to get their primaries right. They'll do one primary, they'll beat each other to pop, get blue eyes, then they'll do another primary, then they'll snatch ballot papers, eat them like Carlos Akinkra's famous ballot paper chewing exercise. I'm sure I hear they put Yazi on the ballot paper before they eat them these days. And this is the same EC that has time and again, officials of the EC have declared that the NDC is a threat to them and to their so-called democracy that they see. This is the same EC that is staffed with MPP officials. Remember that that guy who's a part of Baumia's campaign team, that Dr. Michael, whatever his name is, has been put in as one of the commissioners or staff of the EC. They have staffed it with MPP apparatus. Their actions show that it doesn't, nobody in their right senses will trust. Even the MPP don't trust the EC. Even the MPP don't, if they trusted the EC, they won't be snatching ballot boxes after the EC has conducted elections in Walwale. So that the unfortunate situation that Jimensa and his cabal, nobody trusts them. So we have to be vigilant to make sure that they will execute the nefarious activities in furtherance of the MPP so-called break the eight.
Well, yes, okay. So we have you on the line to also ask you just a few questions, because I know you have to leave us at some point. But the question of, because the key question that has been asked, we've spoken to you many times on the issue of the economy, the financial situation, and I'm sure you've seen your party's manifesto. Can you say for sure that this manifesto will address these issues? For example, DDEP. How do we get our investments back? As I know, I have some small money somewhere that I can't withdraw because the value they keep giving me is not up to the value I put in there. How does this manifesto assure us that our investments can be, like somebody says, grow back our haircut among others?
So, I mean, the first thing is this. I think that President Mahama has been very clear when he says that for all the banks that lost their licenses, they will be made whole. So banks that were wrongly having their licenses taken away and their assets transferred to the so-called consolidated bank, which are still being unable to give to customers what is their due. So if you had 100,000 with, say, a Heritage Bank and the assets of or Capital Bank, and they revoked the license of Capital Bank in 2017, effectively collapsing it. Now they deny that they've collapsed it. I don't know what their problem is. If you yourself don't know that if you withdraw my boxing license, it means you have removed me from being able to box. How can you come and tell me, I didn't stop you from boxing, but I've taken your boxing license? You revoke their banking license, meaning they are not able to operate as banks. Do I expect them to continue operating as farms? Anyway, if your money was with Capital Bank or with UT Bank, and your bank was revoked and your money was moved to Commercial Bank, and Commercial Bank has not been able to pay you, when we come in, we will restore the license to the wrongly collapsed banks. They will get their asset back and they will also restore back to you that which is due you. If Ghana Commercial Bank collected your money from JN Bank and hasn't paid you, they must honor that commitment. See, the business of government is not about this thing these people are doing. When you sign a contract, if I put my deposit in a bank, it is for a custody of my assets, which must be returned to me on request. That's why they are called demand deposits. So if I walk to the counter, I want my money, you give it to me. If it's a fixed deposit, at the end of the fixed tenure, I request it, you give it to me together with the agreed interest. President Mahama intends to honor that. No two ways about it. Of course, there is the niggling thing about time value of money. Because through the depreciation, the value of your money then and now is completely different. I mean, if you had money, 20,000 Ghana, then in a bank account, and it was at 5 cedis, and you divided it, that's about $4,000. Today, the same 20,000 Ghana can barely get you $1,000 something. So that is a different conversation. But President Mahama has promised restitution to the wrongly treated banks. Of course, the banks have the customer's heart in mind. And so when your bank is restored, the assets that were appropriated from those banks will be restored, and your assets should be possible to get back to you.
What about the matters of DDEP?
That robbery will stop. Government must honor its commitments. So if government had a contract with you, no haircuts will be taken away. Why are you? Government of Ghana has no collapsed. So the contracts are still there. Why many have not gone to court to enforce it, I don't know. You haven't declared for bankruptcy. So what is your business telling me you cannot pay? So those haircuts and all those stuff must stop. I have no problem with saying I can't pay you in 5 years, I'll pay you in 10 years with the right amount of interest. But those haircuts will stop. And if you look at the comprehensive program, once we get all these monies that these people have stolen, this 25 billion they have taken in the name of cleaning the bank, we'll find out who and who got their money and who didn't get the money and where that money went. Once we've got all those back, all these, because you cannot build an economy when you are not fulfilling your contract. If people are buying treasury bills and you are not paying their money back, you are going to end up in a situation where nobody wants to lend to government. So President Mahama is going to sanitize the banks. And so this DDP nonsense will come to a stop. This DDP nonsense, I'm telling you. And so when President Mahama says he's going to reset, this is what he means by it. All the jokes that are happening in the name of economic management will be a thing of the past.
I see. So you're confident that the solutions that are in there will deal with the matters of the economy? Because I can mention a few more. We talked about inflation, haven't we? We talked about the matter of the exchange rate. Now
yes.
We're running towards 17 cities. And then there's the matter of interest rate, which traders continue to complain about.
See, the function of interest rates, and I've got a minute or two to run off, but you see, your interest rate is a function of your inflation. The higher your inflation goes, the higher your interest rates will go. No brainer. Your inflation is a function of, to an extent, your currency, because we are highly import driven. So if your CD is dancing palugo, you are going to see problems with inflation. If you are importing cars and the prices of cars are going up, for example, you have banned the importation of certain salvage cars and used vehicles. So when people now have to import new cars at double the price, they'll sell it at double the price, which means the price mechanism in the country or the price rate of increase in prices will also double. No wonder we went to 54%. Now, if the prices double when you import them, when you sell them, it will go up. And that's where inflation goes up. And when inflation goes up, of course, it's going to have an impact on the interest rates. There are many mechanisms. I see when President Mahama focuses on production, It talks about making sure we have land banks available, ready availability of land. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time because we know you can't grow corn today and harvest it tomorrow. But the comprehensive package that we have, the 24-hour economy that will boost production, that will mean there's more jobs, meaning people can earn more money, and there will be more productivity. All that will mean that if you have more productivity, produce more goods for the same consumers, prices on average will stabilize, if not come down, which means inflation will come down, which means interest rates will be moderated and come down towards the 15%, if not even down to the single digit that the NDC superintended over for almost 3 years. So the full package, and I'm happy to have a more detailed conversation because I need to literally run now. But the full package that we have, we are very confident will lead to the taming of inflation, the taming of interest rates, and an improvement in the overall economic health of our country.
Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Wish you the best, everybody. CONRAD DUMBAH is NDC UK Ireland chapter chairman joining us this morning.